Hello, friends. Crystal here, your Vibrant BF, and welcome back to Audacity August. We are on week 2, where we are basically figuring out what to do with all this information. Last week was the first week of Audacity August, where we got to the root. We asked the question, so what are we going to do now? Now what? Now that we have these questions answered of what if it gets to be easy, who told you, when did you find this information, the beliefs, the limiting mindset, whatever it was that you were like, wait a minute, what could my life have been? Where could I be if, perhaps, maybe, whatever? Now what do we do with all this information? Well, first, we're going to take this moment to ground, because that's what we do when we come together. We just take a moment to ground. In this moment, close your eyes, shoulders back, nice tall spine. And we're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. So deep breath in, 3, 4, and hold, and release. One more time, deep breath in for 4, hold, and release. Now what? That is what we're talking about this week. We're talking about now what do we do? How do we move through the emotions, the feelings, the triggers, whatever may be coming up after we have gotten to the root. We're going to take this information, these feelings, and transmute them. So one of the things we need to understand is whatever you responded with, you are valid. Remember, we talked last week about no blaming, no shaming. It's just getting to the root, understanding what it is that's in us, where it's at in our body, when did it come. And now we're going to talk about how to move it through the body, okay? Because that is our home, that is our safety, is the body. I specialize in nervous system resilience because everything is started and rooted in your nervous system. If you don't have a resilient nervous system, if you don't have a balanced nervous system, a harmonious nervous system, a nervous system that actually feeds into your highest elevation, you're not going to be able to not only take in information, but you're not going to be able to transmute it. You're not going to be able to alchemize. You're not going to be able to expand because it feels unsafe. So it's going to be constricted. And the question we keep asking ourselves this month is, when opportunities and questions happen, is my response going to elevate and expand me, or is it going to shrink and constrict me? Okay. So we first need to understand the difference between an emotion and a feeling. So our emotions is energy in motion. Everything is energy. Everything is vibrating at some kind of a frequency, a heavier, denser one, a lighter, more expansive one. That's not necessarily good or bad. That's where the feelings come in. The feelings are basically dictating, this is a good one, this is a bad one. But at the end of the day, all of our emotions are data. All of our triggers are data. It's informations, it's markers. It's letting us know where something is out of alignment, out of balance, or something that is not in our highest wheelhouse, our highest expansion, our highest elevation. So when we think about the emotion, it's usually a very unconscious, immediate response, okay? I shared last month when we were doing regulation through retrograde, about 90 seconds is how long it takes for our body to metabolize like a heavier emotion. That's it. To run through the cycle, 90 seconds. It's when we are so frustrated or sad or whatever it may be, it's because we're reactivating, re-triggering that emotion to have it come through our body again. But it only needs 90 seconds truly to kind of metabolize. Then we get to decide how we want to move on from there. And I know it sounds so crazy because it's like, she was so mean, my feelings are so hurt, and that is valid and that is true. But your body only needs 90 seconds. Now, your mind may need more, and this is where we come in, understanding the power of the mind, how to move through things, how to not reactivate, re-trigger this emotion and live in this looping cycle that really isn't helping us. We can take in the information and say, wow, that was really upsetting. Now, what do I do with this information? How do I process through this information? How do I move on from this moment? How do I allow this person in my life? Like, is this a non-negotiable? Is this like, can they recover from this? Do I need to express more boundaries? Whatever it may be, we can take that information, that data, and process it versus just looping and looping and looping inside of our own mind, creating this repetitive space right? Because our body doesn't know if it just happened or if it happened 10 years ago or 5 weeks ago or 5 minutes ago. Our body's like, we're reliving it. It's happening now. You know, her feelings are hurt now. Her feelings are hurt now. Her feelings are hurt now, whatever it may be. Now, so the emotion is energy and motion, unconscious. It's not always true, right? Say somebody's like, oh, nice shirt. And depending on what kind of mood we're in, we're like, wow, she's being so sarcastic. When she really could think it was a nice shirt, but because we were in our head and we were already having a low, maybe confidence day, that it felt this way. Not to say that it's not valid. You can feel that way, but if it's true or not, we don't always know. The feeling is how we interpret that emotion, right? It shapes our beliefs. And it's like, I knew nobody liked this shirt. I know I can never get it right. I know nobody likes me. And all these belief systems can come up, which is going to confirm our reality, because if that's what we're believing, that's what we're perceiving, then that's what we're creating over and over and over and over again. So when we take in information, when we took in the responses to these questions we did last week, the what, when, where, why, and ultimately how do we live in our audacity? Now we have to use this data, this information on how to process it and get that feedback to say, okay, what is of a lower vibration? What is not in alignment to what it is I'm desiring, where I want to go, where I can feel the most expansive? And we have to understand how to rewire beliefs that really aren't true, that really aren't edifying, that really aren't expansive. And the thing is, once an idea is embedded into our subconscious mind, and the thing is, most of our beliefs are embedded between ages like 0 to 7, 8 years old. So once it's embedded into our mind, it will stay there until we decide to change it with something else. So it'll just hang out. You will always feel less than or whatever your lower, heavier, denser, negative vibration belief is, until you decide to say, you know what, I am worthy now. I recently watched, I know I'm behind the curve, but I recently watched, what is the show with the emotions, where they do the different emotions? The second one, I watched both of them back to back, but it was really, really good. And how the thoughts in our head, the anxiety came in, and it's like, I'm not good enough. But whatever the belief is will stay there until we decide to embed it with something else. So the longer that belief stays there, and the more we believe that belief, the more resistance we're going to feel, the more opposition we're going to have with reprogramming it, rewiring it with something else, even if it's for the better, right? And we have to know that. We have to know that we have to allow ourselves time to move through that. It's like you've had this belief that maybe you weren't worthy or good enough or whatever since you were 8 years old. And now you're 28. And that's a heavy belief, because what you've done is gave more validation and more reasons and more proof of that belief, whether it be true or not, because that was your perception, and your perception is reality. You kept reinforcing it through your RAS, your reticular activating system. And that's what you've been feeding to your body, that nope, you aren't worthy. Nope, you aren't good enough. And so one day you say, you know what, I am good enough. And I understand now that this belief was put in my system at 8 through maybe either verbally, subconsciously, whatever it is. But I have been believing this, and that is no longer true. And that does not feel expansive. And then that does not allow me and help to edify me to live in my audacity. So once you understand the power of getting your nervous system on board, allowing for more expansion, more uplifting, more higher vibrational, lighter thoughts, then you're like, okay, I'm going to think higher because I want to be on a higher frequency, so I have to think higher thoughts. And I'm going to reprogram and rewire these beliefs over and over again, right? With new information from this data that has been coming in that says, you're not good enough, or whatever it may be. So let's talk about some ways to move through these emotions. So say you have a heavier emotion. Again, we don't have to say good or bad. They're going to be heavier and dense, but at the end of the day, they are data. So say if somebody comes in and they're like, I just got my dream job. I just got my dream apartment. I have a beautiful relationship. And maybe you feel something come up in your system like, oof, I swear to God, she gets everything she wants. She's so lucky. First of all, you don't know her story. and what she's had to do and sacrifice to get certain things. So start there. But at the end of the day, it's like my theory is anything I can see within my space, it makes it that much closer to me attaining it. So when people are winning, I'm like, oh my God, I am a winner because my environment is winner. So if everyone's being promoted and getting beautiful relationships, it's like, that means that's me, right? They say if you hang out with 4 millionaires, you're the 5th one. You know, if you hang out with 4 dropouts, you're the 5th, like your environment you keep. So whenever good things are happening to people around me, I'm like, oh, it's exciting. And I get so excited with them because it's like, oh, it's available for me. Why not me? That's my mindset. But some people maybe you feel a little bit of envy, and this isn't to judge it or to blame it, but this is to say, well, how am I feeling envy? Oh, well, the root of it is I don't feel like I'm worthy, or I don't feel like I'm good enough, or I don't feel like that's for me because when I was growing up, you know, if you were brown, or if you were this social economic status, or if you didn't go to this school, or if you didn't know, then you couldn't have these things. But that isn't true. And so now it's up to me to reprogram these thoughts and beliefs that are not of a higher vibration into something that creates more expansion, more audacity in my life, because I'm going to operate at that frequency. So one of the ways we can help to move through heavier, dense emotions, beliefs that are limiting, beliefs that aren't of our highest vibration, is to, one, get to the root, understand what it is without blaming, shaming. And then it depends on who you are as a person. I have a lot of earth energy, so I like to do a lot of things that help to get me deeper grounded. Everybody needs to be grounded, but for me, it's vital. So one of those ways is actually grounding, getting out in nature, getting out of the head and into the body. We want to get out of the head with these beliefs and low vibrations by moving the body. Movement is medicine. When we move the body, either by dancing, shaking, grounding, walking, whatever that is, it helps to move us out of our head, helps us to think clear, helps to expand us, helps to open us up. You can also do breath work. Breath work is huge. Some people are like, I need more than breath work. That's fine. But first of all, pausing for a moment to even think about what you're thinking about and just giving yourself a breath of, I'm going to really give my brain more oxygen to process this information. So box breathing is a good one. It's like 4 breaths in, hold for 4, exhale for 4, still for 4. And you just breathe 4, 4, 4 in a box until you can kind of settle those emotions, help to create more resilience in your nervous system. Some other ways is water, taking baths, salt baths, getting in the ocean, drinking more water. Our bodies are made up of a lot of water. I've said this in many of my videos about how to move energy. These are some more ways I'm always reiterating because that's how we start to learn and do these things is through repetition. So you going out, grounding, eating grounding foods, carrots, potatoes, getting centered, coming back to self, releasing the blame and the shame, and really getting clear what it is you do want to feel, understanding that what you are feeling into is what you are creating. You cannot outrun your imagination. Your imagination will win every single time. So if you keep imagining yourself in an expansive state, winning, whatever it is you want, you are going to create that. But if you keep imagining yourself as never getting ahead, of always being trapped, of being in these low vibration, these sucky relationships, platonic or romantic, that is what you're going to create. So really feeling into it, right? The feeling is what is creating your reality. So using those emotions, that data, to transmute, to create more expansion, more enlightenment, more audacity. So for this week, I want you to focus on the body. I want you to focus on your feelings. I want you to pause. I want you to understand the power of a pause. And then you can understand the power of a pivot, because if you don't like where you are, you can change it. You have the authority to create any life you want, and understanding the beliefs and the feelings that you are creating and imagining. I want you to imagine yourself living in your highest timeline, living in your full audacity. What does it feel like in your body? That is what we're focusing on this week. We've taken all that information. We're going to help and let it move through us. We're going to allow it move through us. Give it that 90 seconds. Okay, fine. You can have 180 seconds. Let it move through you, and then move on and focus on how it is you do want to feel. Thank your triggers. Thank that information. Thank your body for giving you that data to say, you feel a little bit jealous because you know you're capable of doing it, but you're not doing the things you need to, which is the work. whether it be the journaling, the breath work, the dancing, the environments, the thinking, whatever it is. And that's why you're feeling triggered. It has nothing to do with that person, that environment, that event. That is you. So you have the power to change it. So change it. Feel into what it is you want to feel like. Feel into your fullest audacity. Remember, you're asking yourself for all this month, is this expanding me or shrinking me? I will see you next week for Audacity August, week 3. And until next time, friends, bye-bye.